Cultivation of bush crops and leafy greens. Bush crops. Bush crops are a variety of plants that often grow in bush form. They can typically be managed similar ways. Examples of bush crops include peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, and squash. This section will discuss the cultivation considerations of some bush crops. Tomato. Tomatoes are an annual crop. Botanical name, Solanum lycopersicum L. Days to harvest, 60 to more than 100 days to harvest depending on the variety. Soil needs. The soil pH should be slightly acidic, 6.2 to 6.8. Propagation method. Tomatoes can be planted from cuttings from seed. Planting from seed is a longer process. Field spacing, 60 centimeters apart or more. Common pests. Aphids, flea beetles, leaf miners, and spider mites threaten young plant bed tomatoes. In the field, flea beetles, aphids, leaf miners, stink bugs, and fruit worms cause minimal damage to the foliage. Harvesting. Grasp the fruit firmly but gently with one hand and hold the stem with your other. Pull from the plant. Try to break the stalk just above the calyx, which are the small green leaves that look like a hat right where the tomato connects to the stalk. Peppers. Peppers are an annual crop. Botanical name, Capsicum annuum. Days to harvest, 90 to more than 150 days depending on the variety. Soil needs. Peppers prefer sandy loam soils high in organic matter in soil with pH between 6.5 and 7. Propagation method. Can be planted by seed or cuttings. Field spacing. 30 to 46 centimeters between plants. Common pests, weevil, flea beetles, potato beetles, aphids, and cutworms. Harvesting. Similar to tomatoes, grasp the fruit firmly but gently with one hand and hold the stem with your other. Pull from the plant. Okra. Okra, sometimes spelled Okro, is an annual crop. Botanical name, Abomuscus esculentus. Days to harvest. Pods are ready to harvest a few days after the okra blooms fade, with the first pods usually ready in about 50 to 65 days. The plants can produce for 10 to 12 weeks. Soil needs. Loams to sandy loams are preferred, neutral to slightly alkaline soils 6.5 and 7.5. Propagation method. Plant from seed. Field spacing. Space rows 1 meter apart and sow seeds 3 centimeters deep and 10 to 15 centimeters apart within the row. When seedlings are several inches tall, thin the row so the remaining plants are spaced about 50 centimeters apart. Common pests. Caterpillars, aphids, thrips, whiteflies, and mites. Leaf-feeding caterpillar pests that attack okra include beet, southern, and fall armyworm, cabbage looper, and corn earworm. Cabbage looper and corn earworm can also bore into pods. Harvesting. Harvest when seed pods are 1 to 2 days old and 5 to 10 centimeters long. These appear about 2 months after planting. This is when okra is at its softest and most digestible. Cut the stem just above the cap with a knife. Leafy greens. Leafy green vegetables are grown for the production of their leaves for consumption as a vegetable. Examples of leafy greens include spinach, lettuce, kale, and collards. There are many types of leafy greens and their cultivation is similar. Leafy greens typically prefer cool weather growing conditions and may bolt or go to flower quickly in hot weather. Spinach. Spinach is one example of a leafy green, and it is an annual crop. Botanical name, Spinacia oleracea. Days to harvest, 6 weeks. Soil needs. Well-drained soil and rich in organic matter such as compost or composted manure with a pH of 6.5 to 7. Propagation method. Plant from seed. Spinach and other leafy greens need cool weather to grow from seeding to harvest, so sow seeds directly into the soil as soon as the ground warms to 4 degrees Celsius. Field spacing. Seeds should be planted at a depth of 1 to 2 centimeters, leaving 33 to 38 centimeters between rows. When seedlings reach about 5 centimeters in height, They should be thinned out to a spacing of 8 to 10 centimeters between plants. Common pests: aphids, armyworms, cabbage looper, wireworms, and mites. Harvesting: leaves can be harvested by hand or machine.